All right, for those of you who or watch is not even the right word, who's seen my community post, has likely seen this. Now, if you live in Orange County and you rely on public transportation to get around, and if, let's say you're disabled and you depend on programs like the regional center to basically give you bus passes every month, well, they're going to stop accepting them. You have to do it online. Yet, basically, if you don't have a phone, you're fucked. You can't get around, and if you don't have, not without forking money that you don't have, and not to mention, majority of the people that ride the bus, how many of them actually have a phone? And I know, but less and less people are using paper, whether it's like bus passes or whether it's cash. It doesn't fucking matter. The very fact is, all this fucking technology, all this fucking tech, this isn't to be more convenient. This isn't to make things better. There's a sense of irony as I'm doing this rant with the very phone that I have to have. Now I really have to have a phone in order to fucking get around, starting May 1st. What about those who don't have a phone? Because this is an Android. This is not a smartphone, this is an Android. Who the fuck can afford all this shit? And I know I'm gonna hear, but what about what about government issued phones? Do you have any? Those phones are not reliable. You only get a limited amount of fucking time with them, and then they're useless. Especially with the tariffs right now, with how expensive it is to get a phone. This phone I'm using to record this video, I'm fortunate that I fucking got it when I did. This phone was like over $200. Now I only have this phone because I had extra money on hand at the time. Otherwise, I would be using a shittier phone, the one with a limited amount of RAM. I still have it with a broken screen. Now, I had to be even more careful of my phone because without this, I can't get around. Now, I don't know how this is going to be dealt with the regional program. I'm surprised they didn't know about this. And those who are in regional center, who watch me, of course, I don't think this is just like in California. I'm just speaking from the perspective of someone who's in California. If you're in another state, just tell me if you're having the same issue, because I think this is a topic we're not discussing. We haven't discussed enough. Let's just be real. These phones that we're using, it's spy fucking ware. It might as well be a fucking literal spyware device we're holding. We're being spied on by the fucking government, and it's gonna get to a point where you're not gonna be able to have a fucking phone to have a bank account. You already can't have a job without a phone in order to receive a call, and if you can't afford a computer, your phone is likely the cheapest option that you have for a computer, even though even the cheapest phone is still out of reach for most people. I just find the timing very strange. As gas prices are skyrocketing, now those who depend on public transportation, we can no longer depend on those bus passes we get every month. Because I haven't paid for my bus passes. I haven't paid for them in years. And how is someone who's disabled supposed to get around? Especially if they're working, because we depend on the bus in order to get around, in order to get to our jobs. It won't stop there, though. I mean, it's going to come to a point where you're going to need a phone for a bank card. They're going to stop issuing those, and it's going to get to a point where an ID is going to be tied to your phone. So so you're not going to be able to have a physical like ID on hand. Like everything's going to go digital. We need to have a serious talk about this, really. We really need to get our shit together. Because the people that are spying on us, they're consolidating as much of this shit as possible. That's why they're killing physical everything that they could possibly can. A bank card, they're going to eventually stop issuing them. They're eventually going to stop issuing cash. Everything's digital. Everything. And if you're trying to live off the grid, how are you going to survive? If you're trying to survive by working under the table, that's not going to be possible. Like we're living in dangerous times, and if you're poor, it's even more fucking. You already have a noose over your fucking neck, and now with this technology being forced down us, we're not even given a choice in the matter, and that's the thing. Like, every time I hear that we have a democracy, I want to fucking laugh. What democracy? We have no say about if these technologies should be implemented, or how they should be implemented, and to what extent they should be implemented. At first, it was optional to not have a bus pass. Now it's mandatory to have a phone. It is fucking insanity. It literally is insanity. So, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'll figure it out. I'm probably just not going to travel as much because I'm not wasting money, but still, this is just another fucking expense. We need to really start thinking about this. We really do. And for those who don't depend on public transportation, don't think you're off the hook. Because, like most people, you likely have a debit card. Or if you're someone that doesn't have a bank account, well, you're going to have a bank account. Because how else are you going to be able to function in our society? The technocrats, they're not giving us an option to exist off the grid. They're not giving us that option. We're not even given the option to not have a bank account. The more we are connected to this fucking fascist, whatever you want to call it, we'll just call it fascist aristocracy, this fascist government, whatever, the more vulnerable we are. I don't think we've been more vulnerable than this point in our history of our species, where almost every aspect of our lives are being controlled through digital means. How the fuck are we supposed to fight against that? How are people that do not have a car, how are we supposed to get around if we don't possess a phone? You can't just tell someone who barely gets anything in their checks just to save up for a freaking card. Now, depending on how many hours you get, or depending on where you work, it could cost you more to work than to actually work. This is not an accident. This is by design to keep us trapped like a fucking rat. So, what are we gonna fucking do about it? What are we gonna do? How are we actually gonna fix this? How many No Kings protests, which would call them rallies, all we're going to do, our quality of life is gradually getting worse. Fucking, I can speak from experience. I just did taxes today. As of this recording, my tax returns have gotten, it feels like they're shrinking every year. We're being squeezed little by little. It's like, if you're not going to revolt, like, for anyone, at least do it for yourself. You may not care if disabled people are having are going to have a more difficult time getting around. Maybe regional center will find some workarounds. I don't fucking care. The very fact is, I shouldn't have to have a fucking phone to get around. I shouldn't have a fucking phone to go to the bank to have a bank account. In fact, I shouldn't have a bank account if I don't wish to. We're supposed to be in a free country, and I use that in quotations, yet are you really free? If you don't have a bank account, you really can't exist anywhere. If you don't have a phone, you can't really exist anywhere these days. And it's increasingly becoming more difficult to exist in a society like this one if you don't have a phone. Now, it would be one thing if all of our phones were just given to us by the government and we didn't have to pay for it. If we were just offered them, they just gave us these phones and they were issued, that would be different, because at the very least we would have the means to survive. But we live in a hyper-capitalistic society, and the means that we have to survive, that we need to survive, everything about our life is behind a paywall. Is this freedom? Is this what we're destroying our bodies for? Is this what we're destroying our dignity for? It's to enrich some pedophilic billionaires. I don't even know what I'm going to call this video. But I know this. I'll come up with the title when I'm uploading this. If we don't revolt against this system, we're gonna fucking die. Because if we need something like a phone to do basic shit that our parents were able to do a generation ago, that our grandparents were able to do a generation before that, like everything that our parents were able to do when they were our age and our grandparents, it's gradually being eroded. In some ways, they have more freedom than we ever did. You cannot exist without a bank account. You cannot exist without even a shitty fucking Android. Because anywhere you go, you need to have something, a phone. You can't even exist without an email address either. Oh, but all these conspiracy theorists that talk about government overreach are never talking about this. Those who are anti-communists are always like talking about like government overreach and the big bad government, yet are never talking about things that affect everyday people, such as like giving us less and less freedom with every passing year. I don't consider requiring to have this device that I'm holding in my hand and recording this video a sign of freedom. I look at it as a form of enslavement. I mean, like, are we really going to allow the Epstein class to enslave us all and make it impossible? Because we don't have a choice if we want to exist outside the system anymore. That option is being taken from us. You could be debanked just for saying something to support Palestine. If you're doing any sort of activism, you can be debanked. You don't have freedom. We need to stop fighting over the dumbest shit and just wake the fuck up. if we're not going to fight over to be able to exist without a phone, to have true freedom where we could actually truly choose our future, then we're not going to have a future. This country, fuck this country, and fuck anyone that actually still supports this fascist, technocratic state.